We live in a very strange period of time when many countries are suffering from economic crisis and others from conflicts and wars. I would like to ask you if you could characterize this specific period of time that we're going through. Can we say that it's like an unspoken Cold War?
We certainly have seen how much the Cold War affected the capacity of the world to make collective decisions. We were happy to let it behind, but today international relations are complex and we may not have Cold War anymore, but certainly the international climate is not very warm. It is like a cold peace that we are living in. It is an obligation of each and every one of us, of each and every state, to work towards finding a common ground, because the problems we face are problems that cannot be resolved by one country alone.
You said cold peace. How far do you think that we are from intervention?
I am determined to continue to mobilize help for people, and it is not our job of the humanitarian community to sort out the politics of the crisis, but to raise our voice and say we must muster the will to find a political solution to this crisis. We know it from history that every conflict always ends up how? With a political solution. And the only question is how many people die until the solution is found. So this is where we as humanitarian community, this is where we are desperate to see more determination, to find a way to agree to end this conflict, to sit at the negotiating table, give the political solution, give peace a
Is this
chance.
possible? Keeping in mind Security Council, you also mentioned that you cannot even agree not to shoot civilians or doctors.
Well, the Security Council so far has been unable to find this pathway to a common position. That is not an excuse not to continue to try, because it is in the interest, of course, of the Syrian people and their neighbors that a resolution of the conflict is found by the Security Council coming together. But it is also in our common interest, that pathway to agreement is found. So if you fail, try again and try again. And we have to be, as individuals, as citizens, we also have to raise our voices and demand that the countries in the Security Council that have such an important role for peace in the world, they find a way to work together.
Is there a way to prevent all these losses of human innocent souls?
For us in the humanitarian world, we see the tragedy a conflict imposes. We see the faces of the victims, and usually who are they? The most vulnerable people. They are the children, the women, the elderly, the handicapped. We also see how a conflict evolves because no action is taken at an early stage, and that focus on conflict prevention, on conflict resolution, it has to become much more of a United Nations objective and objective of national governments. We have seen conflicts being stopped in their roots when mediation comes early. We have seen that it is possible, and the question
is it possible now?
Well, indeed, the Syria conflict has gone too far. Too much blood is being shed. If we can get the focus on resolving conflicts, I think there would be much less suffering in the world. Today we react, and when we react, it is always, more often than not, it is too late. Tomorrow we have to prevent.
What is the one thing that maybe frightens you, that maybe disturbs even your sleep? What is the thing that you're most afraid of in this perception of an intervention?
The thing that makes me lose sleep is the fate of Syrian children. 6.8 million people inside Syria suffer the consequences of this conflict. More than half of them are children. 2 million people fled the country. More than half of them are children. And when you look at the faces of these bright eyes, smart kids, whose future is shattered, you wonder, what will that mean? Will they turn into extremists? The bigger we become, the more people there are on the planet, on our small planet, the more we are interconnected and interdependent, the more breeding these extremes is turning into a risk for your future, for the future of my daughter, my granddaughter. So yes, I worry about that.
If tomorrow Syria had peace, what would be the image?
Even if the conflict ends tonight, the country is so devastated and the impact of this war is so deep that it would take decades for Syria to come back to normal. And what will this normal be is anybody's guess.